Well, folks, I don't know what I did, but I screwed something up and I ended up setting everything up the wrong way. So I think this show is now live and I think it's for everybody by accident. This is the weekly lineup show. Normally, this is a show for our premium subscribers, but again, I biffed something. So I think everybody's got access today and cool. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I am Dan Besbris, as you can see by this little notch here next to my name. And this is a show that now is officially becoming a free preview for a week. But hopefully, folks that watch it now, after the fact, whatever, you guys will like what you see, and you'll come on down and grab yourself a fantasy pass over at hoop-ball.com. That website is what I'm going to post in the comments thread, and then I'll throw it up on the screen so you guys can just see it or click on it, whatever is simplest for you. Hoop-ball.com. You can go to the Fantasy Pass preview page if you want to see some of the stuff that's involved over there, and I hope you'll check it out. It's just $4.99 a month, and you guys can enjoy that as well. So we'll throw that up on the screen. That's the website. You can click it. It's right in the chat room, and I'll be throwing that up again at some point later on in the show. So as we get down to business a little bit here, and hopefully you guys have seen the thread and you'll come on down. I'm going to work on making sure that it's tweeted out and so folks can check it out. So we're kind of dawdling a little bit here at the front end to make sure everybody gets a chance to locate the feed. And hello again, as folks continue to trickle on here right at the outset. Again, I am Dan Besbris. This is the weekly lineup show, a free preview edition this week. Basically what this is, normally, what you guys would normally see here if you were a premium subscriber, is we go through the schedule grid over at HoopBall. I'm not going to put that up on the screen because I know you guys could save that, and you got to pay the $4.99 a month if you want to keep all that good stuff. But we go through the scheduling grid, talk about teams that either have a scheduling advantage or disadvantage, make our weekly lineup decisions based on some of the stuff we're finding in there. We also go through and look at all of the injured player notes, and I realize that this light is a tiny bit abrasive, so we're going to try to fix that, make it a little bit less shiny, a little shiny today. Go through the injury news, weekly start-sit decisions based on injury information. And then after that, I normally take questions from the YouTube chat. So if any of you guys are watching either on Twitter or through the HoopBall page, navigate through to YouTube. There's a chat window there. You can put your questions in. Again, today is a free preview of this because I screwed up some settings. So congratulations. You guys have all accidentally tumbled into a show that's supposed to be for premium subscribers, and it will go back to being as such for every week from here through the finish line. First things first, we start with the scheduling grid, looking at who has a scheduling edge or disadvantage this week. This is a tool available to premium subscribers over at the HoopBall Fantasy Pass page, but I can just tell you about it today. Right now, there are 6 teams with a 3-game week, which actually means that, normally, like, for instance, last week, and I need a lot of water on these shows because I talk to myself, I talk loud, and I talk quickly. Last week, for instance, I think there were something like 12 or 13 teams with 3-game weeks, somewhere in that neck of the woods. I'm not spot on. It might be like 10 or 11. But when you've got 11 versus 19 with a 4-game week, it's not quite such a disadvantage. It does tend to level out a little bit. This week, because only the Cavaliers, the Nuggets, the Lakers, the Suns, the Blazers, and the Raptors have 3-game weeks. If you happen to be overloaded for any reason with guys on any of those 6 teams, you are actually at a disadvantage this week. It doesn't change your strategy all that much because you can only load up on games so many ways. But if you have an opportunity to get some 4-gamers in there and just try to cover the sort of the knowledge in advance, we know that there are guys that are going to be sitting out games, and even the unexpected, those 3-gamers become 2 very quickly. And the difference between 2 and 3 is a huge deal. It's a bigger deal than the difference between 3 and 4, just because the more games that a team plays in a given week, the less that each individual game really matters that much. So we're not going to go into which team, like what guys you would consider benching in a 3-game week, because for each team, it's different. It has to do with what guy you can bring in off your bench, as opposed to, for instance, Toronto has the only remaining 2-game week on the schedule. That's a week, April 19th, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, somewhere in that neck of the woods, where you'll probably want to bench your Raptors because a lot of the teams have 4, and you could probably go find someone on the waiver wire with double the number of games, and you should probably get that guy into your lineup. So I see some of you now have found the thread. I see questions are starting to populate. I'll try to continue to tweet about this show as we're going. The next thing we normally do, and so we'll do it as though this is your standard weekly show, is we go through all of the players basically inside the top 250 or so of Yahoo's preseason rank. So instead of current rank, it'll be by preseason. Now, maybe it's time for me to switch that around and go by current rank. Although, I like to pull out the names of guys that haven't played that many games. So we'll just jump over those guys. We'll go by current ranks and just top to bottom. We'll start at the top. Joel Embiid sitting. Steph Curry ruled probable just moments ago. That's why we do this show close to lineup block. Get him in. Kevin Durant still out. Bradley Beal was ruled out with a hip contusion. He's considered day-to-day in what is, as we just mentioned ago, a 4-game week for the Wizards. So I'm leaving Beal in. I think he plays 3 games. I think 2 to 2.5 is kind of your worst-case scenario. And he's good enough at top 14 right now, number 14, I should say, where getting him in a 2-game week would actually be enough. Anthony Davis, sit. Zach LaVine in. I think he was listed as a game time decision, but I hadn't heard anything about him sitting any additional games. LeBron is out. Christian Wood is questionable for tonight. We don't have a report on him yet. He missed their last game with a non-COVID illness, whatever that means these days. I didn't even know that other illnesses existed anymore. Presumably he's in, but even if he's not, you're talking about a 4-game week, so get him into your lineup. There's no reason to bench Christian Wood, even if he was playing 3. They do not have a back-to-back this week, although the Sunday, Monday games are a back-to-back. So you could get super unlucky and he sits out the front end of that. We don't know if he's going to sit out either end of that. He played actually in their last back-to-back, OKC Toronto, March 21st and 22nd. Sat out this last half of a back-to-back in Minnesota, presumably illness. But, it might have just been a rest day. So keep that kind of in the back of your Rolodex. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, bench him. We have no timetable on his return. Julius Randle is questionable in a 4-game week with a bruised left thigh. Maybe we'll get update here in the next 35, 40 minutes. Maybe not. They play at 4:30 Pacific time. So, we might not hear anything until right before tip. But I'm assuming he's probably going to play. In fact, I'd have to admit that I kind of forgot that he sat out that game against Milwaukee when the Bucks were resting everyone. So yeah, check back on that one. And, personally, like for me, if I'm looking at a game like that, I know I was looking at some betting angles on that ball game, and that would change things pretty considerably if Julius Randle was ruled out as opposed to in. But I'm starting him this week in fantasy. I think he gets into at least 3 games, and even if you only got 2, that would be close to hitting value, as he is just inside the top 50. Kyle Lowry is likely to travel with the team. He's questionable for the Raptors game tonight. They are in Detroit. I'm actually expecting him to sit out this game, but Nick Nurse did say that it wasn't serious. So in a 2-game week, that is, if he sits out one of these games, then you're kind of in trouble. The hope, of course, is that we do get an update on him before you have your lineup block. They play at 5 o'clock Pacific time, so slightly later start time in Detroit tonight, which means we might get screwed on that lineup block. I'm probably starting him. It seems like 2 is your bottom marker for Lowry, and that would just barely be enough. Jaylen Brown got ruled out for tonight's ball game against the Pelicans with a left hip contusion. Hadn't really heard a whole lot about that. But they're also in a 4-game week. I'm assuming he'll play at least 2 of those. So I think you can start Jaylen Brown with a small amount of confidence. That'll get you at least halfway to his team's totals on the week. LaMelo Ball is obviously out. Larry Nance Jr. apparently is sick. Non-COVID illness. He's questionable for tonight's game, where they are a whopper of an underdog to the Jazz. Just a 3-game week. So now we're starting to get into weird, dicey territory, and we probably won't have an update on Nance before lineups lock. They play at 6 o'clock Pacific time. If he misses this ball game, he probably doesn't hit value on the week, even though Jarrett Allen is out. So this is an opportunity for Nance to be a top 50 guy for a couple of ball games, he's a coin flip in terms of whether or not he hits his mark. You don't have a guarantee that whatever's going on with him resolves by their next ball game, although it does seem like it should. I believe they go today, Thursday, Saturday, which means you've got 2 days off in there. So Larry Nance, I'm going to say start him in the hopes that Jarrett Allen remains shelved, and then you get 2 games of Nance without at the power forward spot instead of center, or flip it at center instead of power forward. But I wouldn't kill you if you wanted to play a little bit safe there, and maybe if you have somebody that is a 4-gamer, that's your first guy off the bench, I think that'd be a pretty good spot to use him. Al Horford is out for the season. You can go ahead and drop him. Jeremy Grant left their last ball game with a bruised left quad, but he's probable for their game tonight, so you can go ahead and get him back into your lineup. We just talked about Jarrett Allen a moment ago. He's already been ruled out tonight, so maximum 2-game week with concussions. They will play it safe. Don't know again because they have 2 days off before their game on Thursday, so you probably bench him since he might not play at all this week, and he's been just outside of where you'd start a guy in a 2-gamer. 1 game would be brutal. DeAndre Hunter's a bench. He wasn't good enough to get back into the lineup yet anyway. Victor Oladipo is out. Apparently, he has a head cold, a non-COVID illness as well. I actually am seeing that news while we're talking, even though I guess it broke yesterday. So, yeah, a lot going on in that Heat-Knicks game in terms of guys in or guys out. Heat have been a little weird here lately. I'm very curious what their situation is going to look like once Oladipo is involved. But with a head cold, I mean, that's okay. They do have a back-to-back this week, and he hasn't played in any of them so far. So with him likely to miss tonight's ball game, that means you're probably getting 2 games from Victor this week, and so I'd throw him on your bench. Bench him. Lauri Markkanen, I didn't even realize he was a game-time decision, so I'm just going to say go ahead and start him. Mitchell Robinson is likely a drop. Andre Drummond probably makes his Lakers debut here in the not-too-distant future. I think they've got a ball game. When do they play next? Couple of days? Tomorrow? I don't think they're in there tonight. Yeah, they played yesterday. 3-gamer for LA. He hasn't played in a while, so conditioning. Yeah, I think I start him. He'll go buck wild. There really isn't much in the way of competition at the center spot, so go ahead and get him into your weekly lineups. Continuing down the board, we are almost through the top 100. D'Angelo Russell, a bench. Terrence Ross. This is a tough one, man. He's already been ruled out for... No, he hasn't, been ruled out for tomorrow's game against the Clippers. This is a 4-game week for the Magic. If Ross could legitimately be a top 50 guy the rest of the way, because he's going to take 300 shots a game, but I don't know how you start him until you actually see him play. He hasn't played since March 14th, so we're at 2 weeks and counting. Maybe he does. Maybe he floats in there tomorrow, and maybe I sound like the biggest jerk on earth for sitting a guy who is going to have all the usage in the universe for a 4-game week, but we're not going to get any information on him. He's been questionable for about 3 games in a row and hasn't gotten in there. I don't know how I can trust a guy. I mean, this is a dude that is top 100 in 14 shots a game. So even if he adds 4 or 5 more shots, that's no guarantee that he gets inside the top 60 or 70. So I got to bench him. You got to play it safe in that type of spot. Bobby Portis, he's in protocol, so you can go ahead and leave him on your bench. Patrick Beverley hasn't played in forever. At this point, his knee's been all mucked up. He's almost 3 weeks out here and has no timetable, so that shouldn't even really be a thing anyway. George Hill hasn't joined his new team yet. Serge Ibaka still out for the Clippers. He's already been ruled out for tonight. That's the late game, so apparently not super close. You can go ahead and bench him as well. LaMarcus Aldridge, who signed with the Brooklyn Nets, likely to... or about to sign with him. I don't know if it's official yet. He's supposed to sit out a few games here to get his conditioning back in gear. Gorgie Jang, who just signed with the Spurs. I mean, I don't know why you'd throw him into the mix anyway, but we're going pretty far down the board at this point. Kobe White apparently has a left cervical pain and is questionable, but he wasn't very good in category leagues anyway. So category leagues, this isn't an issue. Points leagues, he was trending down. Had a slightly better ball game in their blowout loss to San Antonio. So he's a guy you can easily leave on the bench. Basically, once you get to this point, we're talking about guys in the 150, 175 range. if there's even a tiny question mark on them, you don't start them. I mean, that would be insane. Trot some guy out there who's a top 175 who might miss a couple of basketball games. Get out of here with that craziness. Okay, that's good. So that is going through all the injured players and deciding who we can and cannot throw into the mix. And that is where I will once again remind everybody, if there's anyone new that hasn't joined us for any of our live shows before, hello, I am Dan Besbris. That's me. That's my Twitter handle. Please do go follow me there. That's the website, HoopBall. There's actually a hyphen in between there. It's hoop-ball.com. This is the weekly lineup show, which again, normally is for premium subscribers, but I screwed up a setting, so everybody's got access today. Welcome. Oops. It's a pleasure to have you. Premium subs, don't worry. This is all yours again starting next week, and I'm hoping people check out that link. It was one of the posts I made in the chat room earlier. That is a link to look at a free preview of what's in the Fantasy Pass. You won't be able to access any of the articles, but you can see all the tools will kind of be over on the side of your screen. One of them is this schedule grid. That's what I'm using when I do these weekly lineup shows. Also, please do follow us here on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. I think it's somewhere in this neck of the woods on your screen. I might be wrong on that, but hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe. We have other shows besides this one. This Q&A feature is a little bit more geared towards premium subs. They're not all going to be quite like that because I'm about to take some questions from you guys. But we have shows that preview nightly cards. Guys been doing a great job on that. Brent did a show yesterday. Nice work from Brent breaking down the Andre Drummond signing from a fantasy perspective. So there's a lot of instant reaction stuff we get going here on YouTube that is, well, frankly, very useful, fast, and it's something you can't really do on social media because, you know, on Twitter, you got a couple hundred characters to try to express a thought that takes 3 or 4 minutes. Here, you could do 3 or 4 minutes, and the same amount of time it would take you, you know, be 15 minutes to do the same thing, try to type it all out on social media. So give me about a 20-second respite here to make sure that everybody is seeing this feed. I'm going to actually retweet it from my own thing now. Taking questions now is the post I'm making on Twitter. I'll make sure that HoopBall retweets that, so you guys should follow all of those guys as well. And we'll see if a couple more folks trickle into the show. Also, water break. All right, a lot of questions here. I want to try to go through weekly lineup stuff, but there's all sorts of things floating around, so we'll see what we can do here. We will be done no later than 3:45 Pacific time. I want to give everybody at least 10 to 15 minutes to get their lineups together. Hello to the new folks. Again, please subscribe to our YouTube page. Please click the thumbs up button, and let's do a couple of questions. Tama, what's up, my buddy? An owner of my league accidentally dropped a Time Lord. He made a pickup for Roby, but dropped both Brunson and Time Lord. He asked for him back. Another owner claimed him. How do we resolve? For me, this is, it has to do with timing. Like, when he dropped Time Lord, did he immediately come to the commissioner and go, I clicked 2 buttons by accident? It seems pretty clear he didn't intend to drop Time Lord. It seems like he wanted to drop Brunson. And who drops 2 people when they make 1 pickup? Here's what I've done in leagues that I've been a part of. I've made mistakes like this. Other people in my leagues have made mistakes like this. This is all spirit of friendly competition. You want a fair league. And so what I would do is I would give him Time Lord back, move him to the bottom of the waiver order. To me, that's pretty fair. Honest mistake. Nobody's dropping Time Lord on purpose right now. It's very different if someone's like, this guy sucks, and casts him to the wire, and then a week later that guy gets good. Sure, they're not going to get him back. Or like for me, I dropped Nerlens Noel in a league right before Mitchell Robinson broke his ankle. You can look at the timestamp. Clearly wasn't a mistake. Dropped him because it looked like he was going to be a 16-minute bench guy. But this is very different. Have a fair league. And, you know, it's good for everybody. I think most teams will agree. Other than the one team trying to claim him, I'm betting the other 11 will say, yeah, put him back on the team that had him. This is an honest mistake. He wanted Isaiah Roby. He didn't want Jaylen Brunson because Brunson sucks. Put a Time Lord back on his team. Drop him from wherever he was to the bottom of the waiver pecking order. Bing, bang, boom, problem solved. Kevin Porter Jr. or Moses Brown? Oh, boy. I can't have both? Man alive, I can't have both? Oh, my God. Give me Moses. Give me Moses. They just signed him to a 3-year deal. Al Horford's shut down. Moses Brown is playing 30 minutes a game the rest of the way, and we know he's going to be a double-double machine. He'll get you blocks. He's going to hurt your free throw percent. Kevin Porter's going to be good. Make no mistake. He does have some holes in his fantasy game as well. I just think it's going to be easier for Moses to sit in that 50 range, or maybe even better if he, doesn't take free throws for a couple of ball games. With Porter, there's always going to be this sort of roundabout thing. He's going to get plenty of shots. When John Wall's in, there will be less of the facilitating, and that's hard. Once John Wall has his knees scoped, shut him down, whatever timing that happens to be, KPJ might overtake him. But for now, on the Pesach, give me Big Moses. I'm holding on until D'Lo actually plays. I should probably read the question out loud for anybody that can't see the tiny text. Hey, Dan, are you dropping... This is from our buddy Giannis. Are you dropping Rubio with Beasley and D'Lo coming back? Are you waiting and seeing how it goes? Well, if I've had Rubio this whole time, I'm absolutely holding on until D'Angelo Russell sees the court. I'm beginning to think that D'Angelo Russell may never see the court. Beasley taking and making shots is actually kind of good for Rubio because I don't want him shooting that much anyway. He's a terrible field goal percent guy. I'd rather he take 3 shots a game than 6. Every time he takes a shot, he's a mess. I want him facilitating. I want him handing the ball to Malik Beasley and Karl Anthony Towns on a silver platter, and I want them putting it into the hoop. Rubio had 10 assists in their last ball game. That's partly the Beasley effect. So hold for now. No one knows when the hell D'Angelo Russell's coming back. It was the week after the All-Star break, then it was the week after that. Now it's the nebulous crap going on here. Dan Besbris. Like, subscribe. What's up, Jed? Wood and Nance, a start this week? Question mark. We talked about that a little bit during our injured player sweep here. Your playable replacements are Enes Kanter and Kevin Porter Jr. I am... What did I say about Nance? Nance is a coin flip. I'm probably starting him because I think he gets 2 games out of the 3. And I think Christian Wood probably gets 3 out of the 4. So Wood is definitely in. Nance is a coin flip, especially when you're talking about Kevin Porter Jr. in a 4-game week. Yeah, Porter Jr. probably jumps over Nance for me just because of the extra game weekly format here. And Kanter, no. So his arrow is trending down right now. Blake, check that dude out. Check that dude out on Twitter. He's one of our handicappers. How do you balance handicapping and fantasy? My fantasy teams have fallen. I've been focused way too much on the sprightly degenerate in you. Blake, I gotta call you out in kind of a good way. Blake is at 60% in his college plays since joining HoopBall, and that's not on a tiny sample size either. What number? 39 and 26. That's a damn golf clap right there. You can get the wager pass at HoopBall. Same link I sent or close to that other link. Go to hoop-ball.com, click on the premium tab, and check out the wager pass. $9.99 a month, and it's this dude's stuff, my stuff, and like 8 other dudes' stuff, all rolled into one ridiculous package. It's awesome. So to answer your question, Blake, you have to figure out, my move has always been to very slowly add to my bucket. What I mean by that is, and I'm going to try to keep these explanations short because I can see questions are starting to back up. I got a freaking 405 freeway in our chat room right now. So I've always handicapped, sometimes some more than others. This year, certainly a lot more than the last couple of years. Last few years, I've been much more of a spot better, waiting for, teams to add a superstar and then fading them, or team traveling from Portland into Utah on a back-to-back, little things like that. I made like total of 20 bets last year, and I do that in 2 weeks this season. It's not easy. It involves watching a ton of basketball, and it's really about making sure you don't add too many things. In fact, for me this year, I think I probably have 1 too many fantasy leagues. I think I probably got to pare it back down a little bit next season. You also develop kind of a certain routine, a certain speed to it, and browser tabs are also the key to everything. I have a browser. My browser's open. I got probably 40 tabs open right now, but over in the way corner, I'm pointing at it. You can't, there, I'll put my finger on the screen. Way up in this corner, I got like 3 or 4 fantasy tabs open that are actually set on particular players in particular leagues, guys that I know I'm watching in one spot and one spot only because I'm attacking a particular fantasy stat set or whatever it is. Now, in a roto league, I'm trying to make up a thing, or there's like a guy that I want to pick up tomorrow, and I know I'm going to forget it if I don't write it down. But instead of writing it down, just pop it in a tab, throw it in the corner there, and I can refer later. I was like, what the hell was I doing at 3:30 in the afternoon? Oh, right. Yeah, that was the thing. Nance. That was a good one because I answered that one earlier during my injured player thing. Keldon Johnson, rest of season. I think Gorgie Jen could steal some minutes and make Keldon anymore. Yeah, he's a drop for me. His fantasy game is a little bit overrated. He scored a lot at the beginning of the year. Defensive stats have fallen off. Rebounding's fallen off. Partly because Jakob Poeltl grabs rebounds and LaMarcus Aldridge didn't. So when LaMarcus was playing center, Keldon was able to go get 8-9 rebounds a game. Now Poeltl's like, nah, man, those are mine. So I think he's a drop. I would be chasing upside with that spot on my lineup. Here we go. Weekly lineup question. 8-cat head-to-head. Pick 2. OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Jeremy Grant with a bonus E. Thanks, Ben. Brad Clark. Chuma Okeke. I'm leaning Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. Yeah, Bridges is hard in with the 4 games played. And then you're basically picking between OG and Grant. I think Clark hasn't been that great lately, despite the extra game. I'll go OG Anunoby. Jeremy Grant's been a usage disaster of late, shooting like a low 30% lately. Hey, Dan, how worried are you about a John Wall, Christian Wood shutdown? Quite worried. Shutdowns don't happen very often, and we are still like a solid 30 some odd percent away from the end of the season, 35-ish percent. So, yeah, like not yet, but final 2-ish weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, you might see. I think Wood's just going to sit some back-to-backs. Wall, at some point, they're just going to pull the plug. So that one, but he hasn't been very good this year anyway. So I'd be much more worried about the Christian Wood side. Just assume you're going to lose a game to a back-to-back here and there. I don't think they'll just sit him completely because they're already bad. They're already losing. They don't really need to go worse. And he's their new toy. Let him run a little bit. So Wall's going to get shut down, but who cares? And then Wood, he'll get some rest days in there, but I don't think it'll be the full Eric Bledsoe barbershop treatment. If you guys remember from a couple years ago, that was hilarious. DeAndre Hunter and Lowry still holds at 12-team 9-cat head-to-head weekly changes. Like if Kyle Anderson, DiVincenzo, and Olynyk on wire, Okeke, Don, DSJ, interesting too. This is, Jed, a complicated question. Lowry's a hold, yes. I probably would go Kyle Anderson over DeAndre Hunter at this point. Hunter you could give it another game or two if nobody's made the move on Slow-Mo or DiVincenzo or Okeke or Dennis Smith Jr. I don't care about Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He's a streamer, and I'm not 100% Olynyk actually holds in Houston. You got a good game starting for Wood. He'll be the backup center / power forward going forward. Lowry's a hold because his upside is higher than any one of those other guys. DeAndre Hunter, his upside is, but the fact that he's back out after just 2 games with the same knee is a real bad sign. You could wait a tiny bit. Here's the thing, though. Like, even if DeAndre Hunter gets back to where he was in that 65-ish range, 65, 70, it could be weeks before that happens. You're in a head-to-head league with weekly changes, and you've got guys like, if Slow-Mo's got a 4-game week or something like that, that's hard to pass up. That dude should be better than the last guy in your bench, but I don't know, man. 12-teamer, you got to go deeper, I think, on this league. Oh, okay. That you cleaned it up for me there. Thank you. So that was basically what I thought you were saying. No, this is a pre-tank, I think. He'll be back. He'll play a little bit. He'll be back. I don't know when, but he'll be back. They want to rack up a few L's before they let him get back in there. He'll be okay. Nope. Kyrie's back. Brooklyn's about to get real log jammed at that center spot. I'm bearish. I'm not as high on Nick Claxton as others in the fantasy industry. I just think there are too many bodies out there. How the hell are they going to balance all this? KD's not even back yet. Wizards, yeah, keep an eye on Daniel Gafford, but they really could go 16 minutes apiece for the centers out there. And then in the Thunder, Moses Brown's your man. Theo Maledon's been okay, but his field goal percent has been pretty disastrous. I think you could probably stream him while Dort and Shea are both out, though. You could stream Maledon. That's fair. Nah. No. Don't take any chances here. Maledon's basically a streamer slot for you. I think I'd rather have JV than Marcus Smart. You turn your streamer slot into a Hunter stash and hope that he gets healthy soon. Can you leave it on the board until we get any kind of update on Hunter? Like, if we find out he's even considering playing in an upcoming ball game, then you probably do it. But I don't know, man. I got this sinking feeling that he's headed back to the IL for an extended stretch here. Yeah, that's right, Mike. Faux free. I may have missed it, but how long do you think SGA is out? Also, is D-Lo... I don't know, man. I don't know, dude. I'll say SGA is out for 2 weeks. And I think D-Lo will be back next week. D-Lo back in the next 10 days, SGA in the next 15. There's my call. I'm probably way off the mark. Yeah, I'm adding him just until we see what happens tonight. We should have info on this pretty soon. If he's still starting, that makes it, to me, a much more obvious add. If Bjelica takes his starting spot, then you can just cast him back off into the wire. And this follow-up is sort of the same thing. Not really for me. I don't think that he gets enough minutes in Miami to make a dent there. Ariza could, if he locks down that role. He was like a top 75, top 80 guy in Portland last year in a similar starting spot. And I would give Ariza the longer look of the two. I added Ariza in a few spots. If at halftime he and Bjelica are splitting the time 12 apiece, you can already start to think about who you're going to replace him with. Is it worth trading Shea or Halliburton for Shea? No, don't trade for Shea. We don't know when the hell he's coming back. That's dangerous. Yeah, I would trade for Halliburton, but give up someone in the same ballpark as him. His value is pretty well locked in that top 50 range. So take a top 50 guy on your own team and just flip it 1 for 1. You don't have to fleece him. If you need points, if you need assists and steals, give up something you don't need as much of. Make a fair trade. I need to activate Curry and Fournier. Who would I drop? Need to stay strong in defensive stats. Unfortunately, it's Pokusevski and DeAnthony Melton there. Poku's body's not ready. He'll be great probably next year or the year after that, but he's just getting pushed around right now. And Melton just not getting the time. Much as I love DeAnthony Melton, Lord, I love it. He just doesn't get to play. Yeah, you can move off DeAndre Jordan. I don't know if Roby and Gafford are my targets, but you could definitely move off DeAndre Jordan. And to bench is Seth, Keldon, Otto, and Wendell. Should I drop any for Tate? Hell yeah. Get rid of Keldon. Or Otto. Yeah. Tate's probably the best player out of all 5 of those guys you listed. But Wendell Carter Jr.'s got some upside. Seth Curry is pretty safe. Keldon Johnson has not been good. Otto Porter, we don't know what his actual role is. Yeah, Jayshawn Tate's been really good lately. Normally I'd say no, but your drops here, Bismack Biyombo and Kem Birch. Yeah, Bismack Biyombo is horrible. You can drop him for literally anyone in the NBA. Anybody. Miles Bridges was never an ad. He had one big game. Yeah, no, he's not an ad. Herder, no. I'm not sure I follow. Is Kevin Herder a drop also? Is that the question there? Yeah, you can drop Herder too. There's no upside there. He's a streamer. He's a streamer. His percentages are his field goal percent in particular, I think, is going to crush you because you guys got to watch him play. There's some cool stuff going on there, but his build is not quite ready for 30 some odd minutes a night indefinitely. With every missing body, yeah, it gets a little bit better. So that's why I stream. I mean, you don't have to just dump him immediately, when someone comes back, but stream away, understanding the outlook is probably not all that great. Otto Porter or JaMychal Green? I'll go Otto just in case it sticks. 9-cat roto game cap, Sato or Ingles or Slow-Mo. Rebounds, threes, assists. Well, Ingles gets you those 3 things. So I'll go Joe Ingles. Slow-Mo also gets you those 3 things. Sato, not so many rebounds, not so many threes. So you kind of get with Ingles, you can get all 3. With Slow-Mo, you get 2 of the 3. And with Sato, you get 1 of the 3. It's my child at the door telling me he's leaving me the monitor because the baby's going down for a nap, and the child and the nanny are going to play in the courtyard. Is Danny Green promising or just a stream? Dude's actually number 51 by totals this year. If you had just rolled with Danny Green all season long, you'd actually be in pretty good shape. I mean, he's basically a streamer. We know Danny Green, but he's been a very reliable one that you could have streamed the entire season and you'd have been okay. Like, he's right around Jordan Clarkson level value right now. I know. Look it up. Give me Clark here. Clark is playing, doing well. That's correct. Let's see. First year of fantasy basketball, when's a good fantasy trade deadline? I go as late as humanly possible. Most of the time. You need a deadline because then nobody's screwing around as you get near the playoffs. But like 3-4 weeks before your playoffs, 2-3 weeks before your playoffs, that's fine. Go super late. Go real late. It's fun. Keep people trading. Get ready for your postseason. You start make them really shore up your clunky stats. Duncan Robinson or Chuma Okeke, 9-cat head-to-head weekly league. All right, let me double check on these guys. Orlando's 4 and Miami is 4 as well. I'll go Chuma. Give me the young buck. Duncan Robinson's about to get pushed aside if Victor Oladipo starts to play anyway. Not like he's going to lose his spot, but that's usage, that's shots, all that stuff. That's a big deal. Ooh, Kevin Porter Jr. Between he and Garland, I'll go KPJ. Moses Brown, time. No, you shouldn't have to choose between those two guys. Oh, man. No, you got to be able to start both of those guys. What are you doing here? This is like 2 top 50 guys. You can't be picking. Bench someone else. I'll go Robert Williams, but bench someone else. I probably go Noel over Pirtle over Wendell Carter Jr. because Pirtle's free throw shooting is so terrible. Thanks, Brandon. Host of our HoopBall Clippers pod and a fantasy expert here at HoopBall. I think you may have texted me. My phone lit up, but I'll check it after the show. Give me DeLon Wright, just in case he locks in a good roll. 26 will be fine. And that's it. Told you I'd be done by 3:45. Minute and a half to spare. This is the weekly lineup show, everybody. I really hope that many of you consider getting a fantasy pass over at hoop-ball.com. It's just $4.99 a month. Comes with this show. Ethan Noroff and Adam King do one just like this on Sundays for our subscribers. We have a Discord live chat every single night. For premium subscribers, we actually have a Discord that right now is only open to premium subscribers. That, probably worth it all by itself because you can pretty much ask any HoopBall Pro a question at almost any time in there and get a response. So yes, I'm shilling. Go get a fantasy pass at hoop-ball.com. Like and subscribe to the video, subscribe to YouTube, all that stuff. Follow me on Twitter at Dan Besbris. Follow HoopBall at HoopBall Fantasy. Enjoy your week, everybody. Back next Monday, but only for those with a premium subscription. Yeah, that's right. Only one time for free. So long.